Good day, students, and I welcome you to class today. Today we will want to compare and contrast the organizational structure and function of circulatory systems, including gastrovascular cavity, open, closed, single, and double systems. Today in this lecture also we are going to identify and describe the functions of different types of blood vessels. That implies the arteries, arterial, capillary, venule, vein, including their basic structure. The third thing we're going to learn today is to describe and identify the functions of the different components of the blood. And the fourth thing we're going to learn today, and which you are expected to reproduce later, is to describe the process of gas, nutrient, and fluid exchange between capillaries and tissues. So in actual fact, we're talking about the circulatory systems in animals, circulatory systems in mammals. There are different types of circulatory system. The circulatory system basically is the primary method used to transport nutrients and gases through the body. Simple diffusion allows some water, nutrient, waste, and gas exchange in animals that are only a few cells layer thick. However, bulk flow is the only method by which the entire body of larger, more complex organisms is accessed. Like in the phylum Porifera, just circulation is by diffusion because they are at a cellular level of organization. But in complex organisms, there is a need for the entire body, more complex organization is required. Circulatory system architecture. The circulatory system is effectively a network of cylindrical vessels, the arteries, veins, and capillaries that emanate from a pump, and that pump is the heart. In all vertebrate organisms, as well as some invertebrates, this is a closed-loop system. Closed-loop system in which the blood is not free in a cavity. The blood is not free in a cavity. The blood is in vessels. That is a closed circulatory system. But where the blood is free in the cavity, that is an open circulatory system. In a closed circulatory system, blood is contained inside blood vessels and circulates unidirectionally in one direction from the heart around the systemic circulatory route, then returns to the heart again. You learn in your O-level biology that oxygenated blood leaves the heart, and then deoxygenated blood returns back to the heart to do what? To get oxygenated and then to leave the heart again. So the blood that contains oxygen will go from the heart to the body, to the various parts of the body. It goes to the brain, go to the leg, go to the hands, go to every other part of the body. Then the blood that does not have oxygen returns to the heart to do what? To get oxygen. As opposed to a closed system, arthropods, including insects, crustaceans, and most mollusks, have an open circulatory system. In an open circulatory system, the blood is not enclosed in blood vessels but is pumped into an open cavity called a hemocoel and is called hemolymph because the blood mixes with the interstitial fluid. As the heart beats and the animal moves, the hemolymph circulates around the organs within the body cavity and then re-enters the heart through openings called ostia. This movement allows for nutrient exchange, and in some organisms lacking direct gas exchange sites, a basic mechanism to transport gases beyond the exchange site because the gas exchange in many open circulatory systems tend to be relatively low. for metabolically active organisms and tissues. A trade-off exists between the system and the much more energy-consuming, harder to maintain closed system. The closed system is energy-consuming. The closed system is not simple. So the open system is simple, while the closed circulatory system is complex. We want to compare circulatory system in various animals. So the circulatory system variation in animals. In different types of animals, the circulatory system varies. The circulatory system varies from simple systems in invertebrates to complex systems in vertebrates. The simplest animals, such as the sponges, that is the phylum Porifera, and the rotifers, that is the rotifera, do not need a circulatory system because diffusion allows, remember we've been taught this before, diffusion allows adequate exchange of water, nutrients, and waste, as well as dissolved gases. Organisms that are more complex but still only have two layers of cells in their body plan, such as jellies, that is the cnidarians, and comb jellies, that is the ctenophora, also use diffusion through their epidermis. Some of these things I'm talking now, you have learned them. You have been taught some of these things. So these organisms use simple diffusion through their epidermis and internally through the gastrovascular compartment. Both their internal and external tissue are baths in an aqueous environment and exchange fluids by diffusion on both sides. Exchange of fluids is assisted by the pulsing of the jellyfish body. So the way the jellyfish body is pulsing, it makes the exchange of fluids easy. For more complex organisms, diffusion is not efficient for cycling away gases, nutrients, and waste effectively through the body. Therefore, how will they do? How their circulation done? More complex circulatory systems have evolved. In an open system, an elongated beating heart pushes the hemolymph through the body, and muscle contractions help to move fluids. The larger, more complex crustaceans, including lobsters, have developed arterial-like vessels to push blood through their bodies, and the most active mollusks, such as squids, have evolved a closed circulatory system and are able to move rapidly to catch prey. Closed circulatory systems are a characteristic of vertebrates. However, there are significant differences in the structure of the heart and the circulation of blood between the different vertebrate groups due to adaptation during evolution and associated differences in anatomy. I'm going to use the figure below to illustrate the basic circulatory system of some vertebrate, fish, amphibians, reptiles, and mammals. So you can see the system in the fish, that is our A. The system in the amphibians is also shown, that is our B. The system in the reptiles is shown in C, and the system in mammals is shown in D. As we move from fish to amphibian, it becomes more complex. As we move from amphibians to the reptile, it becomes more complex. As we move from the reptiles to the mammals, it becomes more complex. So you can see in the diagram of the mammal, you have the right atrium, you have the left atrium, you have the lung capillaries. In the mammals, you have the left ventricle, you have the right ventricle, then you have the blood capillary, and you have the systemic circulation in mammals. In the reptile also, we have the lung capillaries, we have the left atrium, we have the septum, you have the left ventricle, you have the right ventricle, you have the right atrium, you have the body capillaries, and then we have the systemic circulation also. And lower down we have the systemic circulation. Upper up you have the pulmonary circulation. In the fish, or let me take the amphibians first. In the amphibians, we have the pulmonary and skin circulation. In the lung, then we have the lung and skin capillaries. Then we have the left atrium, we have the ventricle, we have the right ventricle, we have the body capillaries, we have the systemic circulation, and that is what we have in the amphibians. You can see the amphibian, we have the pulmonary and skin circulation. If it doesn't use the pulmonary method, it can use the skin. But in the fish, the circulation is through the gill. That is why every time the fish opens its mouth to take in water, then the water contains oxygen. The water passes through the gill, and there is the upper column where the water can go out. The gill will take in, will absorb the oxygen that it needs through that passage. So every time it's passing, every time water is passing. In animals, in other animals like man, like lizard, and the other such animals that live on land and do not live on water, what they do is that they get oxygen from the air. But the fish does not get its own oxygen from the air, it gets it from the water, because water contains oxygen. So every time it's opening its mouth to take in water, every time it's opening its mouth to take in water, what is happening? Just the way we take in air, the fish takes in water to get its oxygen, and this process, it goes through the gill. So we have the gill circulation. You can see in the diagram for the fish, we have the gill capillaries, you have the ventricle, we have the artery, we have the body capillaries, we have the systemic circulation, then we have the vein, then we have the atrium. So the gill has, the fish has gill circulation. What type of circulation does the fish have? The fish has gill circulation. Fish have a single circuit for blood flow and two-chambered heart that has only a single atrium and a single ventricle. The atrium collects blood that has returned from the body, and the ventricle pumps the blood to the gills, where gas exchange occurs and the blood is reoxygenated. This is called gill circulation. I've explained that already. The blood then continues through the rest of the body before arriving back at the atrium. This is called systemic circulation. This unidirectional flow of blood produces a gradient of oxygenated or deoxygenated blood around the fish, a systemic circuit. The result is a limit to the amount of oxygen that can reach some of the organs and tissues of the body, reducing the overall metabolic capacity of the fish. What happens in amphibians? In amphibians, reptiles, birds, and mammals, blood is directed in two circles, one through the lungs and back to the heart, which is called pulmonary circulation, and the other throughout the rest of the body and its organs, including the brain, that is systemic circulation. In amphibians, gas exchange also occurs through the skin during pulmonary circulation, and it is referred to as pulmocutaneous circulation. Pulmocutaneous circulation. Cutaneous has to do with the skin, so that's why it's called pulmocutaneous circulation, because it's pulmonary and skin. Amphibians have a three-chambered heart that has two atria and one ventricle, rather than the two-chambered heart of fish. You can see fish have two-chambered heart. Amphibian has three-chambered heart. I think you should take your time after this lecture, after this class, after this discussion, to look at the differences. You draw a table, differences between the circulation of the circulatory system of fish, param of fish, that's species of the apes, that's the bird, the amphibians, then the reptiles, the apes, the birds, and then the animals, that is the vertebrates. That is the vertebrates. So As I said earlier, amphibians have a 3-chambered heart that has 2 atria and 1 ventricle, rather than the 2-chambered heart of fish. The 2 atria, superior heart chambers, receive blood from the 2 different circles, the lungs and the systems, and then there is some mixing of the blood in the heart's ventricle, inferior heart chamber, which reduces the efficiency of oxygenation. The advantage of this arrangement is that high pressure in the vessels pushes blood to the lungs and body. The mixing is mitigated by a ridge within the ventricle that diverts oxygen-rich blood through the systemic circulatory system and deoxygenated blood to the pulmocutaneous circuit. For this reason, amphibians are often described as having double circulation. Double circulation. So you should master why amphibians are said to have double circulation. Most reptiles also have a 3-chambered heart system, similar to the amphibian heart, that directs blood to the pulmonary and systemic circuits. However, the ventricle is divided more effectively by a partial septum, which results in less mixing of oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. Some reptiles, such as alligators and crocodiles, are the most primitive animals to exhibit a 4-chambered heart. Crocodilians have a unique circulatory mechanism where the heart shunts blood from the lungs toward the stomach and other organs during long periods of submergence. For instance, while the animal waits for prey or stays underwater waiting for prey to rot. One adaptation includes 2 main arteries that leave the same part of the heart. One takes blood to the lungs and the other provides an alternate route to the stomach and other parts of the body. The other adaptations include a hole in the heart between the 2 ventricles called the foramen of Panizza. Foramen of Panizza. Foramen is F-O-R-A-M-E-N. Panizza, capital P, P-A-N-I-Z-Z-A, which allows blood to move from one side of the heart to the other, and specialized connective tissue that slows the blood flow to the lungs. In mammals and birds, the heart is divided completely into 4 chambers, 2 atria and 2 ventricles. Oxygenated blood is fully separated from deoxygenated blood, which improves the efficiency of double circulation and is probably required for supporting the warm-blooded lifestyle of mammals and birds. The 4-chamber heart of birds and mammals evolved independently from a 3-chambered heart. The independent evolution of the same or a similar biological trait is referred to as convergent evolution. Convergent evolution. Let's take note of that. Convergent evolution. We're going to stop this class here for now. We're going to continue in the next time. We're going to continue. So take your time to go over what have been discussed and look at the diagrams presented. Familiarize yourself with what happens and the differences. The next time we're going to talk about something else still related to the circulatory system, but I think we need to take a break now and then we'll continue later. I'm going to see you later. Bye for now.